Cool. Roll. Check if these files are here. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Close streaker. What's going on? Do I look smarter with glasses? Or older? Sheets. I haven't even done Saturday. Sheets. Reading Mar is letting Barrakill use his bong facilities every minute. What? Who did you get it off? Who had Barrakill? Ideal, you want it to be sort of towards the inside. Played a bit like Rose Hill. So 4 metre Ramwick, 6 metre Ramwick is similar to a rail true Rose Hill when you get a fair track or a good track. They put up a 5 to start the day that was upgraded to a 4. It was more like a 3.5, 4 from the chute, 4, 4.5 from the circle. So it wasn't far away, 4-ish. But I do think it was sort of ideal to be closer to the speed and certainly not coming too wide in the straight. A lot of softish tempos. They quickened off some sort of evenish tempos. So that I think the straight might have been pretty firm. The only race that they sort of overdid the tempo and came home slow was the last. So yeah, pretty interesting. A few of the races anyway, so we'll get into it. Race 1, slow to recover the favourite, Catch the Glory. What else do we have here? Yeah, so Photographics wins. Shall be Evening Star. What is Everyone's a Star runs third? What is it? There are a couple of. It wasn't too much behind this. The favourite was a Forgive, obviously.
And the light is on. We're ready to go on the first of 10. Racing now. And the rush hour left particularly.
This horse is. I'll talk about this horse later. I just want to have a look at his record and what this trainer does. Apache Breeze, he runs pretty well. He's probably the second best run in the race, arguably. I do think this horse here is worth highlighting too. I thought it'd run better on Saturday. The stable's obviously flying. Still Alice. But I reckon she wants 1200 now, and I think she wants to sort of dominate speed rather than be chasing and cluttered up. She sort of got going again through the line, I thought, even though she had a nice run in transit here. So it is interesting. It's a good run, Photographics, because the leader drops out. The horse sitting 3 wide up on speed goes ends up out the back too. So solid tempo throughout, but they do quicken off it, and then the time overall is pretty good. So you would think for this sort of grade that the form will hold up. It probably will hold up in Wednesday grade, provincial grade, pretty well. So the race is okay. It's just the win is quite dominant, and a lot of these horses have got similar sort of ability, so they're hard to place. I'd say there's a lot of horses that are like these horses, and that's what this sort of benchmark systems turned racing into to a certain degree, that you get a lot of similar horses, and then you've got to try and work out, where they're going to be in the run, are they going to be well ridden. That sort of decides the races more than progressive horses or ability. So here's the winner. This is Apache Breeze coming through. This is still Alice. Who else is up there? Everyone's a Star has sort of been going better than its form suggests. So I'm not surprised that it ran better than expected. But they sort of pack up behind, which is usually a bit of a worry. Catch the Glory did pull up a little bit slow to recover. So that should have bunched the margins even more. Not great signs here, but I think they are very even horses. The winner's got a bit of ability. Sort of has put a couple of races away quite nicely. So but I think it's a dead set 1,000-meter specialist. Still Alice here. That's Apache Breeze through the middle. This Apache Breeze. I know he's a bit of a crazy trainer, and he does similar things to this, but as a 4-year-old gelding, one trial in October, straight to the races, wins. It was a good win too. Then just given the worst ride you've ever seen at Port Macquarie, where it would have gapped him, I think. Bit unlucky against Expressway La, who's not a bad horse. And then came out and won at Newcastle. A bit lucky there off a fast tempo. You thought, okay, well, it's probably time for a spell. He puts it up to 15.50 and runs last. Then he gives it a 36-day freshen back to 1,000 and rips home and wins. And then another good effort in another 1,000. So, it's going to be a hard horse to follow. But, geez, it's a tough horse. I'd like to own it. Yeah, it was an interesting ride too. I looked at it. The thing about Maylita was the start. It can probably settle a little bit closer. Went okay again. It was sort of in the pack, wasn't it? But sort of a bit unlucky early, a little bit skittish out of the gates, whatever you want to call it, copped a little check or something and ended up a long way further back. So I think it can hold a more forward spot easily, like in a better draw, different race, and sort of gets going keen during the run. So its effort was okay. Just concerned that that Flying V behind, the big bunch, that they're going to need a lot to suit to find the right race, a lot of these horses. But I think the form will be okay, even considering the bunch margins. One sec. Okay, so that's race 1. Race 2. Another nut. This is probably the most boring race of the day. Very slow tempo. They come home okay. Very bunch margins late. There's a couple of decent run-on efforts, I thought, but I'm not a big fan of the winner. It copped a bit of interference and still won. Associate was there to win and struggling to put a race away. Adolphus is just a honest but limited horse. Vermicella's a very good effort. Probably should have won. Tavros is just a horse, but continues to race pretty well. Magnace, I'm not sure how to say this horse's name. It's an interesting horse. I think Danny O'Brien had it. Mulholland gave it a couple of runs prior to the end of last prep, while sort of mid prep. He sort of got it mid prep and extended its prep and gave it a couple of runs, and it's 2 runs for him since he's actually had it for a full prep. Of being great. The problem is the horse gets back and he's a bit one-dimensional. Like, there's got no tactical speed, so they're usually difficult to follow those horses with much confidence. But the horse is going really well, and so is Vermicella, who's I think in first prep, isn't it, or second prep? So it's like 6th run, second prep, but has got good ability. Vermicella, it's what's he got at Nom for a 2,000 meter race? It can't run, can it? When's it? Is that today? Tomorrow. It's on for a 2,000 meter race tomorrow. Anyway. Yeah. We'll get through this one quick.
Ready. Go. Racing. And Adolphus began.
So at the start, Vermicella is the one that's sort of dragged out. It'd be close to a spell, that horse. So, again, nothing really worth following here. Tavros cops a little squeeze, ends up out the back too. I think Knight Patra pulls up. So this is Knight Patra out wide, pulls up 4 out of 5 lane, which is about as bad as it gets. And then, obviously, there's another one in the race, Tanwar or something. He's pulls up 4 out of 5 lane too. So that drags a little bit more class out of this race. I don't think this form's super strong. The thing is, you've got a really slow tempo, which sort of hides a bit of the merit in the back markers. Not a lot happens. Vermicelli cutting through the middle here. Magnace getting to the outside. Associate looks the winner. Dale had every chance. Adolphus had every chance. And Tapakit gets up on the inside and wins. This Tavros coming through. You can see again, margins closing up. There's not much happening here, but it definitely is finding the line really well, Vermicelli. And so is Magnace for the right race. If it dropped back to the right country grade, it'll just round up a field, given the right track, conditions or whatever, like a biggish track. It'll just round up a field of average horses. It's probably redlining a bit at this highway grade. And but if it gets a decent tempo in the right race, it's still going to but it just needs a few things to fall its way because of its pattern. Whereas Vermicelli can probably settle a bit closer. I think it has settled significantly closer previously. Not really. 7th of 9, 9th of 12, 7th of 15. So there you go. But yeah, I think there's much happening in that race. Very quiet here. What's going on? Very quiet. Everyone, no abuse, nothing. We'll get to the abuse, the Kerr McAvoy races later where everyone's still fired up. All right, too low, slow to recover here. I'm not convinced. They pulled up no issue Peloton, but I'm not convinced it didn't have an issue here. It just got the death wobbles up, which is usually a sign of either shin soreness or an issue with a 2-year-old usually. Wasn't really greenness. It looked like it was, had plenty of energy and then sort of let down and then got sore late nearly the way it sort of pulled up across the line. Doesn't make sense. This horse couldn't run out a strong 1,100 metres off its sort of first start trials, everything it's done previously. No excuses for the rest. Shaggy just shows a great amount of speed to lead, gets taken on in the run, sets a solid tempo and quickens off it and puts them away. I see there's a bit of debate about people saying, shouldn't pay the 150 to get into the Golden Slipper for this horse. No arguments here. I think given the connections and how hard it is to get a horse of this quality, if he holds together over the next 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it is to the Golden Slipper, yeah, he's lining up. I don't think the 150 is going to hold back connections, especially if he wins at Todman or something on the way through, which is capable. Like, he looks like he should be off this performance, comfortably in the top 4 to 5 of the betting, comfortable. Whether he should be second pick now behind Woderton, who's won on a wet track and is going to come out and prove that wasn't an anomaly as well this week. So, and then you got the other horses, North England and the like, that have got to come back, and West of Swindon, all those sorts of horses that are going to show that they're back and ready to go, whereas he's up and racing. So, good luck to the Shaggy crew.
Easy in the market. So Hillier being led forward now.
Comedy hits the line all right. Skyhook's good on debut here for Gerald. Thought his debut was really good. As I sort of said, Palatine, I'm pretty sure there was an issue with Palatine. Whether we see it again this prep or not, I wouldn't be surprised either way. The Shaggy's got that great speed. United States out wide's a forgive. Yeah, we're not going to get into McAvoy bashing. He drew terrible gate here and really didn't have a choice, or he didn't have a choice. He didn't really have any control over his destiny. Let's just put it that way. He either goes way back or way forward. He got caught in no man's land. They don't look like they're going visually fast here, but they are running along okay. And he just gets caught wide and the horse starts to get keen and he's just cactus. So in the run, Comedy back last. Skyhook's in the middle in the red and white. Palatine behind the leader. Nordic, what's his name? Nordic Viking in the 1-1. Really good ride from Molly to get into that position. Hillier outside the leader. And Scooby-Doo, Shaggy up in front. He's definitely been annoyed. It's not easy for a 2-year-old to sort of keep his composure with horses like this up outside him. So he ticks a lot of boxes. He's obviously going to get good company up on speed in a race like the Slipper or the Todman. More likely the Slipper, but he's just got that effortless early sustained speed, and he just hasn't really weakened yet. So, you know, he looks like a nuggety sort of little sprinting type, which I think will keep him in good stead too. Like, he doesn't look like he's a weak little lightly framed thing. He just looks like a nugget low to the ground sprinter. So I think that'll help him. I'm sure they'll cotton wool him to a certain degree. Yeah, Skyhook's good. Comedy good late. The late sections are good. So, yeah, I thought this run was a bit flattered to start, but given the tempo of the race and how quick they've come home, even though it's never troubled Shaggy at any stage, the Comedy's effort was okay. Skyhook's was okay. And complete forgive for the United States, or United States, or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, I think this form's okay. I don't think we've got a vintage 2-year-old year, so whilst there doesn't look any exciting performances here, and I'm not convinced that Palatine was 100%, this form should be okay over the next few weeks, and the winner was a clear standout. Hope Comedy sprinting this with the blinkers schnitzels rarely go past 1400. I agree. Yeah, great racing pattern for the leader. I agree. Yeah, there'll be a couple of gays and whatever up on speed, but you'd rather have that speed than not, wouldn't you? Like, you'd rather, especially when you don't know what marble you're going to draw. His explosiveness out of the gates has been great. So, and I think he's been, like, he hasn't really been on a. He led out, so he sat outside the leader over 800 metres in a slow tempo and quickened off that. He then was given a bit of a sore back last start. I thought, well, set a task. He was never not working. And his fastest sort of sections were late. You know, like he's just got that high cruising speed that he seems to be able to maintain. So, you know, they've found a good horse, and hopefully I think Hippo's going to stay on it, and he obviously suits the horse, and you never know. Ball of Muscle 2.0. Geez, there's a name I haven't thought about for a while. Ball of Muscle. Wasn't he a good horse? I don't think he ever raced. Did he race the 2-year-old Ball of Muscle? But he was definitely the similar sort of horse, wasn't he? He was a little nuggety, bloody low to the ground. Yeah, he was a good horse, Ball of Muscle. All right, race 4, another sort of even tempo. Not a lot happens here. Won't spend too much time on it. A lot of barrier trials here from the stayers resuming and alike. The winner's just been extremely well placed. I'm not saying it's not a progressive horse or a talented horse. He's definitely got that good eye cruising speed of similar to Shaggy in it. Not really. It's out to a mile, this horse, but he has got that early speed. She rode the horse very well, got it into a good challenging spot. Sandpaper did similar to what it did last start. And he was just dominant over them. But he's just been so well placed, even coming down to the claim here. It was just a smart claim. Things worked out well, the draw, the makeup of the field. He just keeps racing well. There'll probably become a race soon where he's not as well placed and there'll be an opportunity to bet against him, because he doesn't really have like a mad dash or, you know, crazy depth at the end of his races. He's just had a lot go his way. But a lot of that is his sort of racing pattern. He does make his own luck. But he has found the right races, especially the last 2 starts. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, whether he gets stepped up in grade or they continue to try and pick off these benchmark races, which looks smart with this horse. I think, you know, maximising the amount of return they get out of him on the way through the grades is really smart.
But Shaggy ran them off their legs there in the Pierrot plate. Comedy from last running home in a second. The disappointment was Paladin, who trailed the
So I was surprised they pushed forward with political debate again. Timmy eventually got him across. This is Yorkshire here, Sandpaper inside. So on paces dominate. We'll have a quick look at. There was a pretty funny ride. One of the lunatics in the chat room mentioned the ride on Medatsu shortly after the race, and it was pretty funny. So if you want to go back and watch, a less than vigorous ride, this is probably a poster child effort from Medatsu. So, you know, a horse that on paper could arguably sprint well in a race like this, you know, really was given a barrier trial. This horse went okay, I thought. Lincoln Rocks. It went okay first up. Methuselah went all right as well. But probably Lincoln Rocks and Medatsu were the 2 first uppers that I thought did a good job back in the pack. But, Anarope, she just pushes forward. She just continually, at least she's not jamming the horse meaninglessly. She's sort of just keeping an eye on things takes the time to sort of get across those horses inside without doing anything silly. Probably at the race in the last, I think she got suspended for that. I thought it was a little bit harsh, but maybe it was a bit closer than what it looked. Yeah, she did get suspended. She got suspended twice on the day, actually, which is a shame because she's going really well and she's an apprentice you want to find at the moment. She's got a bit of confidence, so hopefully she doesn't lose that. But yeah, he's Lincoln Rocks out the back, second, third last, and the mighty Midatsu completely detached from the field with Nash just letting it go through its gears, so to say. Yeah, nothing really happens here. We'll fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. He doesn't get held up for a stride, pushes Missuella out of the way. Sandpaper outside leader obviously had a little bit tougher run in transit, and she gets to go through gears. Really nothing happens, nothing exciting from these horses because they're all, it's only second up, political debate. Cinquettore hard fit, Missuella hard fit, Vega Magnifico fit enough. Mr. Waterville, not so much. So it comes into the back markers at this stage, and none of them really do anything super special. Strathray got knocked over there. It was a complete forgive. But yeah, he's Midatsu back here with Lincoln Rocks. I think they weren't too interested in competing too hard on Saturday, but I thought they both went okay for kick-off points going into their prep. But there's not much to be learnt there, I didn't think. Yeah, she's good. She's good, Anaropa. I think, and I agree, and she's quite strong. I think, and I love that she seems tough. Like she doesn't seem overawed. She doesn't seem like, got to say this the right way. She doesn't seem sort of caught up in any sort of fanfare or hype or whatever. She just wants to ride winners. She seems like that's what drives her. She just seems a tough little, rider, which is what you want, I think. Ideally, you just want a competitive rider that just wants to win, and that's what she seems to be to me. And she can rate horses fairly well. Obviously, the last race is a bit of a nightmare, but, you've got to get more right than wrong is kind of the key at this stage of her career, and I think she's doing that. Yeah, well, that's probably it. She seems like tough. Like she seems tough, hard tough. She's not fragile, which is what you get worried about sometimes. She went off a little bit for a while, Mr. Virgin. She took her time to sort of come good, and she was really starting to come good before she got injured. And then when she came back, she certainly was a bit gun shy, but she's taken her time to come good. All right, Expressway Stakes, here we go. Yeah, this race was... who was she apprenticed to? I don't know. I don't know if she's moved. Was she with Damien Lane? Actually, I'm not sure. I thought she was at Wyong, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. If I was a city trainer, I'd be grabbing hold of her. Björn's definitely using her a lot more now, so maybe she's moved to Björn's. I'm not sure. All right, this race is a bit of a joke. They go out sort of, 3 seconds-ish slower than standard for the grade. So ridiculously slow tempo, especially for a 1,200-metre race. And carnage. So, yeah, I don't know. This is the difference between sort of McAvoy and McDonald or whatever. He comes out here, and you can see that all he's thinking about is instructions. His instructions are obviously to try and find cover, sit off the speed, work into the preparation, typical Waller MO. And, the difference between him and McDonald is, and I'm not saying even ability as a rider, McDonald just doesn't care. McDonald knows, he's supremely confident that no matter what he does on any one individual horse, he's going to keep the ride. He's going to get more rides. He doesn't care. I think McAvoy's probably doesn't really care either to a certain degree, but I think he operates more under, I'm going to do exactly what I'm told at all times, and that's it. Like, he doesn't usually produce a ride where you go, wow. He's just more of a bit of a tradesman, a bit passive, and and that's why his results are the way they are in comparison. But yeah, I think if he could have his time over, he'd probably roll forward. What I think he was, really unlucky here to a certain degree is Airman's slow. That's a bit of a parallax, but he looks like he's going to slot in here, and Josh completely shafts everyone by staying off. If he had gone to the fence, that may have changed everything. But staying off and sort of half carting the ones behind completely shafted the two behind, and then they sort of ran up each other's backsides and caused themselves interference, start getting keen and all sorts. I thought it was interesting. Timmy's going so slow on the leader, and he's urging it the whole way. Like, he wants to go faster, and you could see at the end of the race, this horse was actually pace affected by going too slow. It got completely out sprinted at the end of the race, but it couldn't go any faster. It just wouldn't go any faster. So you would say they've sort of erred. Josh is probably the best ride in the race because he's handled the ones behind. He's turned it into a sit sprint by controlling the speed, stalking the leader. He's got clear, and his horse is overperformed given by the ride and the circumstances. I think his was the best ride in the race by a mile. Timmy's definitely gone too slow, but I don't think he could have gone any quicker. And then the ones behind are, they're sort of a half victim of circumstance and also, negative-ish ride. So trying to make an argument for who should have finished home first out of these two, I find it extraordinarily difficult to say that Magic Time shouldn't have won the race. Gets keen, gets on heels here. There we go there. So over racing, sort of cluttered up back in behind. I know that Jolie Star is visually working harder in the run and very keen, but they are absolutely walking, and it's a stupid comment to think that wide no cover's not a superior, is an inferior position to sort of pocketed with cover, but in these cases when the tempo's so slow, I don't think it hurts much at all. So yeah, she's held up here, Magic Time. The rest of them are all sort of off the bit, chasing. They've got their chance to sort of wind up, which is what you want to do in an extreme sprint home like this, and she doesn't get the opportunity to do that. She has to wait for a run to appear, and when it comes, she really bursts through. So she showed a turn of foot that no one else showed in the race. She's strongest through the line. I think the right horse won the race personally, the Wace. And what we've got to kind of try and make a decision on now is how good is Jolie Star? It beat Roy Orbison, what's his name? She beat our Kobe son first up last prep, ran some ridiculous high figure doing so off a slow tempo, and that's probably what everyone expected her similar to do here, was sit back and sort of rip home off a slow tempo, and she didn't really do it, but she's never really produced sparkling final figures in any races. Like the first race she won was off a fast tempo, the second race she won over a mile was off a fast tempo, where she box seated that day at Caulfield when the track was a joke. Then she won first up off a fast tempo against Hedged and Libertad, which is not really exactly strong form. She beat up our Kobe son and Fearson over 1,200. Fearson's definitely not a 1,200 metre horse. And then we kind of run into this period where she was unlucky-ish. I think Sunshine in Paris was a far superior run that day at Rose Hill when she beat her home there, and the tempo really wasn't against her. She was arguably very unlucky in the Everest, but what sort of race was that Everest? The whole race was ugly and not much between first to last. We've seen Growing Empire come out and being pretty plain. Who else was in that race? Steffi Magnetica. Like, it's good form, but there's no dominant sprinters. Like, we've seen Lady of Camelot come out and get handled quite easily by Lady Shenandoah, who does look a very talented horse. There's just not much between a lot of these horses, and I think that's kind of the case. Like, there's probably 10 or 15 horses in the sprinting ranks that can win on any one day when they're in the mood. I don't think Skybird was a fluke. I think it's a very talented horse. Things went its way. First time down the straight over 1,000, it was dominant in that race in Melbourne. We'll have a look at it later. But yeah, I just think maybe she was a little bit overrated, and I probably did too. Just sort of took it for granted she'd sit off the speed, and I'm a huge fan of Magic Time, and I've probably underrated her. Like, if you wanted to be harsh on Jolie Star's form throughout and boost Magic Time a little bit and say that, the form behind Belclair was good and And, you know, when she had the glue-on shoes off and on, maybe she was having a few issues. You go back to the previous form. You know, her form wasn't too inferior overall, and she's extraordinarily consistent. I think the right horse won. I think if I had to hang my hat on one horse over the other, you know, everything being equal to them physically, I think maybe Magic Time's just a better horse. So you're saying that he's not prepared to change things up if you go against what they expect. Exactly. I think they err on the side. A lot of riders, especially for Waller, Jason Collett, Jay Ford, Karen McAvoy. The only two that I'd say are exceptions to the rule are probably Nash and J-Mac. They just ride to the letter of the law when they're riding for that stable because they know that's what they want. And if they get beat on the day, I don't think Waller and that crew, except for grand finals, really care. I think they're just all about progression, all about having a plan, all about sticking to the plan. And that's why they put these guys on, because they ride to instructions. You know, I think it costs them potential wins, but does it make them up wins at their end of their prep, or when do they get to their grand final? You know, that's an impossible question to answer, and maybe it does. But as a punter, it makes it very difficult for us because you expect them to be written negatively, and more often than not they are. And then, you know, every now and then they sort of they'll turn one over on you. But they're pretty easy to read, which is all we can ask for. Yeah, and I honestly don't think Skybird is a miler. I think it's a 1,000 meter, 1,200 meter horse. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she's trained for the rest of her prep, or if they keep her to sprints or try and stretch her out. It'll be interesting to see what they do with her. But anyway, next race, Triskey Stakes. Ugly sort of race. This even tempo throughout. The two Baker runners sort of dominate the speed. Bonita Queen and Spring Lee, I was hugely against both of them. Didn't think they were up to this quality-wise. I thought that Commemorative's probably clearly the horse to beat, and clearly thinking drew poorly, and I thought Kundalini would be up outside the leader. It did pull up 1 out of 5 lanes, so it was a forgive. I was pretty right. I think Commemorative should have won. Clear thinking probably is the other horse that should have fought out the finish, if all things being equal. If they ran this race, you know, and redid the barrier draw over and again, I think Clear Thinking Commemorative had run 1-2 more often than they wouldn't. It just lobbed in the perfect spot. It was the old absolute perfect jamming for the punters, and I don't think it helped the mass pile on for McAvoy when he comes out and rides the 15-1 winner after getting Jolly Star beat, and then obviously comes out and gets the next one beat as well, which is pretty funny. It's completely irrelevant, but Big Girl misses a kick from the inside draw was always a problem. If she sat third the fence and got the gap when she needed it to at the top of the rise, I think she was always going to win by 2 or 3, potentially, especially with Clearly Thinking drawn wide. He takes his medicine and goes back. Inhibitions is just a hard fit horse that lands in the ideal spot. And you know, basically, it's got a 20-1 shot, 50-1 shot. Cigar Flick, who's just a horse for mine, running cover for it. So it's got 3 horses running, 4 horses because Kundalini pulls up lane. So a 3 or 4 length gap to the actual dangers in the race, which is a huge positive. This horse is just the textbook flattered horse. The race is okay, so you don't want to be hugely against it, but this was just absolute Christmas Day, rolled into birthday, rolled into every public holiday, rolled into whatever you want. This is just nothing better could go better for this horse in this race. Even tempo, I think, even suits it. It was just perfect. So the 2 leaders, 2 out front to start up to it class-wise. Stalks. And then the others have got to make up 3 or 4 lengths. And I'll show the head on for Commemorative. The poor Big Girl just never really gets to go through her gears at all. I think if she had got to the outside at any stage, she just would have picked them up and smashed them. But she is a nightmare of a creature to follow as well. She just seems to find trouble. Big horses, big problems is always the funny one. But yeah, she's flying, Clear Thinking, and look at this. She just never gets out of first gear. I love Tippo comes back and she's in for a good prep. She's in for a good prep. She should have gapped him here, your Wombat. But where's this race? The head-on's pretty sick.
Send them on their way.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Racing now. A little bit tardy off the inside.
Why does that not show that? Why do you not want to show that evil thing?
Tashi strides to third, followed then by Inhibitions. Going up the inside, BR Bay.
I wonder why it doesn't want to show that.
Back in the field then is Kundalini from Commemorative.
And I can only make it this size because of this stupid way that they do their player thing, and they won't let you mess with the settings. But she's back towards the inside here. She really never gets going. Like, look at her. She's sort of never out of first gear. Gives her one, she quickens and drops her head straight away. She just wants to go. I don't think she ever got out of first gear. I think she should have gapped it. But she is a nightmare. Jolie wants the J-Mac. That's what it yeah. Yeah, you're unlucky, but you knew the problem was with Commemorative. It was a great bet. It was a great bet, but it was a big chance of that happening. She was a dead set odds-on chance if things went her way, and she was a 20-to-1 chance if things went the way they did, and there probably wasn't ever going to be much between. So she was a really hard horse to mark price-wise, but she was a great bet to have. Like, you'd like to have that bet over and again, and if things fall your way, I think you're going to finish way in front. Yeah, agree. All right, next. I think those two horses are clearly thinking, and Commemorative, it can be very, very competitive next time out, pretty much whatever they're in. I think Tashi wasn't too bad there. I think it'll peak next time out. Just needs to find the right race, and obviously the jury's out a bit on Kundalini pulling up with an issue. Even tempo, that one. So this one's another softish tempo. They sprint home sharp off a softish to the 800 sort of and 600 metre mark lead. I think they definitely had their chancing on paces here, which showed in the results. Lady of Camelot, that's as good as she goes. Lady Shenandoah is well ridden. Just needed that little bit of luck to land the 1-1 spot, which looked like it was always a big chance of being there with Lilac drawn directly inside it. Lilac ran okay. Pretty talented horse. Lazura went better than I thought. It certainly trialled only fair, I thought. Amelita went pretty good. Delici Boulevard went good. Castagna went well. Manar was a plain to pass mark at best, and that was probably about it. LLLL, first four. Is that what you're saying? Lazura, Lady Shenandoah, is a Lady Quinella with an all-L first four. I've heard some strange ways to bet, but first letter of their name, boxing them up in a first four, that would do me. That would actually drive me insane. So yeah, Timmy gets to go forward and control, dance to the boom. Poor old McAvoy again. He had a tough day, didn't he? Like, this horse was to be ridden more quiet, and it ends up 3 wide, no cover, running fifth. So yeah, it was just a bit of a funny day, even though he came away with a winner and he probably made 20 grand on the day. That's the sort of day he had. I actually thought this horse, Delici Boulevard, would go a little bit further forward. Amelita's back behind them. And what's this thing called? Castagna back on the inside. Lazura. They're all pretty good runs. Whether they won't beat Lady Shenandoah with even luck ever, but they are going well enough if they fork to different races. You can't just not love this horse. Everything goes away. Don't get me wrong. She gets the perfect running transit. Tempo's perfect, but she's won to a mile pretty effortlessly, and this is only 1,200 metres off quiet trials. She just floats across the ground. Like he's never really. I don't think he's hit her at this stage, has he? Yeah, so he's only just produced the whip then. He's actually never touched her, I don't think. Did he ever whip her?
Spectacular. She's 2 in front to Lilac and later in a great spot. Dance to the Boom the outside. Further back to Silmarillion from Lazura Phenom to Clichy Boulevard. Manala's second last coming up the horizon. Lady of Camelot.
Is he even carrying a whip? It's in his right hand, is it?
Lilac and Lady Shenandoah starting to run on. Lady of Camelot at the 200. She's all out now and Lady Shenandoah.
All he's ever done is shook the reins at her. He might have given her a slap there. And that's it. Yeah, she's pretty frightening how dominant she could potentially be over the fillies. I know that we've got that other Autumn Sun filly to come back, but you want to be pretty good to get near this horse the way she's going and the way she's returned. It's pretty special. Pre-race footage said she was surprised and happy. Came back instructed to take cover. Looked the wrong race to try that. Yeah, I don't know. It was there was always going to be Lilac was always going to roll forward, and so was Timmy. So it was an awkward draw. I actually think it was harder to go back if that's what you're saying. I think it was more dangerous to try and find cover in this race than it was to push on, and if they want to go nuts, try and drop in. But especially that sort of horse that had a bit of residual race fitness, and he pulled up not well across the line there either. Not really sure what happened. Yeah, that's a decent quality, just a perfect clean out first up win for Lady Shenandoah, and I do think there was a lot more in the tank than what she showed. All right, another really fastly, slowly run race. No surprises, though. Vicestina was really strong through the line. Last 200 was really good. Fangirl just a superior turn of foot, superior position in run. No surprises. Lindemann has returned really well, which he trialled up really well. It was actually an extraordinary. I can't believe the trifecta paid $100. Completely insane. The trifecta paid $100 and insane. But wish I had the brains to invest more into it, that's for sure. But yeah, the first 4 pass marks across the line. This race makes more sense that it was always going to be a fairly slowly run race, unless Waller wanted to make it a more evenly run race and send Nash out to put a little bit more tempo into it. But he just sort of cruises around, and it's another glorified barrier trial, really. This run should just bring these horses on. It shouldn't hurt them in any way, which is good. Building into their preps, they should all build off this nicely, and as you sort of said, the main 3, Fangirl, Vicestina and Chael Wolf, all should take good benefit from this, and you know, the winner probably looked better parading than Vicestina did, so probably potential for more improvement in the coat and physically for Vicestina. But yeah, like he hasn't shirked his task, this bloke. Not really going to open up big margins off slow tempos, though. So I think it all made sense. I don't think there's any big surprise there. Probably just in hindsight, the gap was too big between the two prices, which looked fairly logical as well. You know, when you sort of were talking about it before the race, that this similar race last time in, this horse was $2.50 and this horse was $11. You know, a lot of water's passed under the bridge since then, but it didn't make a lot of sense for it to be $4.50 and $1.90 or whatever it was. So, yeah, everything makes sense post-race. Just a really good clean-out barrier trial. And then when they meet next start, we try and line them up again. Yeah, Amelita was a good run, and I agree. Well, it depends whether they sort of fork in the road or they all keep going down the same path. I don't think Amelita will ever beat home Lady Shenandoah, but it's got a tank and it's got definitely can change riders. It does have a few good things. We'll jet through these 2 races. They're pretty boring. This race was run at controlled tempo. The winner looked like it visually went like a rocket, but I think it was like Cool Jakey pulls up with an issue. Disnick had an issue. Rise of the Masses went like a busted. Eye of the Fire looked flat. Bunker Hut was just a run. I think this race is just a race. And the winner, whilst it looks super dominant, I think everything possibly went its way a little bit like Inhibitions earlier in the day. It does sit outside the leader and out sprint them comfortably, and looks like it visually goes like a rocket, but I just feel like this was its Christmas. You know, as it said, again, talking about buffers in the run, they're going slow. The winner doesn't finish the course. The third horse goes like a busted. So you've got a sort of 3-length gap there between you and your actual real nearest rivals, which is what ends up at the end of the race, 1.7. So whilst visually looked like it did probably a little bit more and spread it a little bit sharper and gapped them, it didn't do a lot. It was just right place, right time. I actually think the run of the race, not run of the race, but the horse to follow out of the race is this French Endeavour. Just never got in the right spot, got on heels. You said sort of slowly run race, only gets balanced up the last bit, and I think it knocked up too. And again, the key sort of, you can see, this is it out here in the Hobart Bill stud colours. Doesn't jump like a gazelle, but it jumps well enough to hold a spot. And then is just dragged out, which is fine. It was to be expected. I think they even had a change of tactics to be ridden with more cover. And they've treated this pretty much as a bit of a barrier trial, and that's what it got. In behind horses, comes in behind Lavish Empire here and sort of gets held up a bit. Goes back towards the inside, so checking there, gets forced back to the outside. A bit of argy-bargy, and then sort of sprints, lets down well. And then, to me, knocked up. I think it sort of lost its action across the line. So, yeah, it's a horse that can settle third, fourth in a similar race and improve significantly and win a race like this without any trouble. Yep, see, I ran similar splits to Fangirl. Yep. Yeah, I think fastest last 200 of the race, not clearly, but quite clearly, was by Sistina. But certainly not much difference between Fangirl and Chowell. And then the last, I'm a big fan of this horse, but it looks like it was handed this race on a platter as well. More territories. Parfumist, this is, Anna Roper just gets a little bit carried away early here. I thought she should have been, I expected her to try and settle in third, fourth. Maybe they thought they could just dominate again. And it certainly gets taken on up front and still runs extremely well. Not sure if this did the horse any favours heading to this slot race in New Zealand that they've just signed up for, but whatever. I thought Panic was pretty disappointing. Had every chance in the run. I don't think the race had a lot of depth to it. Genzano doesn't look like it's come back in great order. Pal d'Oro went okay, but again, very much pace assisted. I'd be very concerned about the depth of this form. But in saying that, the winner's first up 1400 off a fast tempo, so I think you don't want to be super negative on the winner who's back here, but be very wary that a lot went right with the race. Like the two up front just going crazy. Matter of Honor runs last. Panic's tagged the solid speed, but I still think it was disappointing. Genzano was in a good enough spot and every conceivable possible chance more territories, even though it does come to sort of the arguable, not great part of the track out in the middle. The pace advantage is just too strong. Again, the race all kind of makes sense. You can even see Pal d'Oro is not really doing a lot. Genzano looks like it's tying up and not doing a lot. These horses are just not much good. Oakfield Duke, Noble Conqueror, Starman, they're just horses, sort of pack-following horses. El Rocco, I think, pulled up with a couple of issues too, so maybe it's a bit of a forgive. But, yeah, the race itself is pretty dicey. And I think she'll probably go back against the fillies next start and could start, for argument's sake, if she races Lady Shenandoah over 1400 next time out, she could start $8, $10 when she probably should be 20s. I think Pal d'Oro only ran past tired horses late, though. I get it, but I don't know. I think it was pretty flattered. I think Pal d'Oro running as well as it did against its normal pattern, even with pace assistance, was a pretty strong indicator that the race is only very, very fair at best. What races were worth looking at here? I thought this racing was terrible in Melbourne. We'll have a quick look at Skybird just because whatever, but
ready. Racing in the lightning. Joyful Fortune scrambled.
That's I'm probably harsh on Molly Felix, and my biggest issue with Molly, I think she can half steer. She rides a winner every now and then, and even Nordic Viking, she did a pretty decent job on it, but she has no clue how fast she's going. And I agree, she's very one-dimensional. When she wants to lead, she leads. She doesn't care how fast she goes. She tortures the horse. She tortures a race. And inversely, when she's out the back, she doesn't seem to have much idea of sort of improving into the race when the tempo's against her as well. So I think she's got a lot of work to do with tempo. That's her biggest issue. I think she can half ride, but her knowledge of speed is pretty bad. Yeah, everyone wanted to be on. Did you hear from your mate who was a part of Deep Focus? Yeah, I heard from him. He's pretty happy. And they had another one trialled today that trialled up like a rocket apparently. So they're up and about at the moment. I think the stable had like 6 of the 8 winners or something at the trials today. So they're all up and about. What was the tempo like here? I don't. Hang on. Skybird's race. So have they gone quick? Is that right? Have they gone 3.4 above? Or have they gone slow? I'm not really sure how this works. I've only just started using this. Looks like they've just gone quick all the way. Fast-ish tempo, but slightly above. And then slightly above overall. Is that right? That's what it looks like. I don't get the Melbourne sectionals. But they look like they're travelling comfortably, sort of growing empire, and Switzerland looks like he's been ridden too close over the 1,000 metres, and I think sort of J-Mac's probably wary that he didn't want to get too far back and out sprinted, but then here's Skybird back here, and like anyone was watching the stream, once I saw where this horse and how close it was, I didn't care if it was Switzerland or Farlap who's out in front. If you're holding this horse, if you're going to let this horse not get past you the way it was travelling, good luck. It looked like it was going to jump over and hurdle them. So I don't think there's any fluke to this at all. And 1,200 metres down the straight, I think this horse is going to be a nightmare to get to beat.
Skybird, 3/4 straight now coming on, or growing empires running all over the place, and Skybird dropped on them.
I don't think this is vintage sprinting form by any way, shape, or form. But what we've got at the moment, if they train her like a sprinter, I think she can show this wasn't a fluke and be very, very, very hard to beat, and especially down the straight. Around a bend, over 1,000 or 1,200, she's going to give up too big a start and really need a lot to go her way. But down the straight, I think she's a nightmare.
A spectacular win.
Yeah, Mr. Virgin was good, but I definitely, I didn't think it was any certainty. Don't get me wrong. Like I've actually had a lot of luck down the straight with horses like her, and I got too tied up in that the 2 3-year-olds would be primed to win the race, and I handled the race really poorly in hindsight. Like the result was okay, but you're better to win on a race than not, and it's always fun to find a horse at odds, when she's 50 or 60 to 1. But yeah, in hindsight, I definitely didn't handle it well. And if I concentrate on that race a bit more, I think I would have been more confident in her ability and probably would have made it a lot better result. But that's easy to say now.
Miss Tarzi is in, and the field is set.
Yeah, everyone in the chat on the Thursday or whatever, when we were doing this silly dog stream, were very keen on Revelare, and as I said, I didn't know the other horses, but there was definitely there was no way you could knock this horse in any way, shape, or form. It had done everything asked of it all the way, and
Shiny New Deal in fourth place by
Yeah, it didn't surprise. The only thing that surprised me was the price. Didn't it get out to $4 or something? And it gets knocked from pillar to post here, and sort of a victim of circumstance. Goes back to the inside. It was blowing a gale. The conditions were horrific. Yeah, this is a really good win. I don't think there's any better sight in racing than when a horse picks itself up after having no luck. And see, the winner, the thing that won the last race at Eagle Farm was a little bit like this. When horses are dominant off the back of finding no luck, finding trouble, going back, weaving runs, and then once they sort of balance up and just surge, to me, that's a horse that just is going to continue to win because they can overcome trouble, and they're not just... This horse doesn't have a 100-metre sprint. This horse has got gears. And that's sort of what he'd shown all the way, obviously. But as you go up in class, it's harder to show it. But this horse just continues to keep doing it. When you can do it, when you found trouble in the run and you don't have, like, if the horses are all not falling over because they've gone 100 mile an hour and it's coming from last, that's very different to what's happened here. They're sort of all bunched and then he's sort of run away from them. So, you know, he's the real deal, this horse. No, he reminds me of a horse like Maldivian, you know, like he looks like he's adaptable. He can get up on speed and pins his ears back and just wants to find the line. He's a beauty. I think they definitely tried to squeeze the lemon laney with Growing Empire, but I also think that he was in the right place in the Everest to sort of take advantage of his speed and the light weight, and he finished as close as he possibly could have there. And you know, even Southport Tycoon, all that form, I don't think it's much good. I don't think there's much between any of them. God's Own in the Goldfield Guineas. What about when I had God's Own going for 200 grand or something off a peanut? I think I got 500 to 1 or 1,000 to 1 in the Cox Plate off the back of that Caulfield Guineas win. And I thought, oh, well, they'll send it to the front with no weight. And they decided to go back and try and outsprint Maccabi Diva. I'll never get over that. Yeah, I'd have to. I don't know those horses, Seppels and whatever that well. I'd have to look at. I don't even want to really watch the replay there because the date to me was a bit smelly, and I don't even want to review it without knowing a little bit more about the horses and how it went. But visually, it looked great for sure. 1400 metre races at Flemington are really tricky to review. Let's have a look at these. So this is this week's races coming up, right? So we've got what? We've got Blue Diamond, Futurity, Oakley Plate, Hobartville, Millie Fox. Holy shit, Parramatta Cup, Silver Slipper, Angus Amanasco. If I open all these at once, is my computer going to blow up? Probably. Right, Blue Diamond, I'm not even going to touch on. As you can see from the market, like I don't even know who's going to show up there. That's my problem. I literally, because the 2-year-olds are so steady in my mind, you know, if you get a horse that you think, well, wherever it goes, I want to be with it, you take a bit more notice about where they're going to go. But I haven't seen any 2-year-olds that I'm that interested in following. A horse like Bella Zane or something would be interested, but I don't think it can be going there if it's 25 to 1. Good Sort, midweek. I thought it strolls unreal. Didn't Good Sort run there? It ran there, right? Do I think Iron Me would have beaten Skybird? No. I don't think it's much good, Iron Me. It's just a really honest, on pace sort of take advantage. I can't imagine that it would have been 3 or 4 lengths in front of the field there, which is what it would have had to be to beat her. She would not have. No one would have stopped that horse in that race, or like especially Iron Me, something like that. Then maybe, you know, I don't know, Bella Nipotina or a Sunshine in Paris or something like that might have beaten her, but nothing in that race or Iron Me would have beaten her, I don't think. Right, Futurity Stakes, Mr. Brightside, I wish I win. Yeah, well, there's not much to worry about here, is there? There's definitely nothing down in the pack. Private Life, Angel Capital. Angel Capital is an interesting horse. I don't know if these horses are going to show up there, but there's nothing to like. Mr. Brightside was really good first up. I wish I win. I think. Is it Cactus? CDD. Palm Angel. Yeah, I'll have a look at it later in the week. Close streak. I'll have a look at the 2-year-old race later in the week. I just don't even want to really look at it at this point. Oakley Plate. If Estrella's favourite for the Oakley Plate, there's something wrong because it didn't trial that great, I didn't think, and it's just not much good. I love the horse. It's one of my favourite horses, but it's how can it be favourite for an Oakley Plate? Mind you, she's bulletproof second favourite. We've just talked about IME. A Straka who trialled only fair. Ray Magnario who took this straight to run down that horse the other day. Holy cow, what an ordinary race. Arabian Summer, $13. Oh my God. And probably isn't not justified. Espionage is interesting. I'll find out how it's going. Insurrection was the horse that just got run down the other day, wasn't it, the other day? So, yeah. It's, looks like it's going to be the worst Oakley Plate I've ever seen. And I can't really say there's anything I want to be on there. Probably it's clearly the horse of most interest to me is Espionage. Yeah. As I said, I'm not a big IME fan, but Oakley Plate is probably its go. If it's ever going to win a race like this, it's just going to win it by box seating and running honestly. But there does look a bit of tempo in the race. Headwall 16-1 for an Oakley Plate. Headwall. Holy cow. Hobartville, well, yeah, if we broadsiding's the hope of the nation, isn't it, for the 3-year-olds? I did read somewhere that this horse opened up $8. That was just the wrong price. Went really well, I thought, at public attention. Looks like it's come back. Looks like it's going to only improve into its preparation. $8 was just the wrong price. Broadsiding against a horse that it's never. One sec, sorry, just stick over there. It's never really excited me as a horse. I'd be trying to find something to beat it. Aliana's a horse that sort of overachieved last prep. Looks like it's improved again. Dangerous. Linebacker should improve with that first up run. Point and shoot. Stables Airborne. They certainly look the ones. I'd say point and shoot, linebacker at public attention to the 3 I'd be most interested in. They've all had a run under their belt. They're all going well. They're all very dangerous. These horses have got to come up to them and do it fresh. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is that point and shoot that we've seen. Well, even she destroyed it the day it won at Nowra. It's been insane, this prep. And the only time it didn't go well, this prep, was when it was ridden forward second up. So, crazy. I did. I just briefly, but I think not the Lightning. I looked at the replay of the Lightning. Yeah, Millie Fox. So I'd be going here with Aliana if it was mine. I think she'd nearly win this race. Electrica, my God. Deep Rouge, my God. Yeah, I think Aliana would run very well in this race. I'd be going there with it if it was mine. But that's just more of a race where you want to see barrier draws and final field there. This horse is interesting as well. What did it do first up? Our Gold Hope.
Last to move in, and they're locked and loaded for the sweep. Southern, hard to say, accredited F and Racing now. Our Gold
Dragged it straight out the back.
To Our Gold Hope from what again the
Up
Child
the fence.
Gold Hope. And His next Ambulator to say now accredited. Brifty will Iona showing plenty of fight. Iona Merck the outside goes to it. Walado Iona Merck, they had it. Oh,
Pass mark. Hard to come into it with much confidence. I think it'll improve our Gold Hope, but maybe not enough. Maybe not enough. Switzerland, how would you price him post-race? And Jolly Star, who post-race, what would you have longer than Magic Time? I would say Magic Time, yeah, Barnesy. I'd say Magic Time I would have marked favourite over Jolly Star if, in hindsight. On performance, I think it was a better performance. Not significantly, but I'd probably have them sort of even money 2-1, something like that. So probably the reverse of what their prices were the other day. And Switzerland, yeah, it's not a 1,000-metre horse, but that stable's just so hard to judge because the horses can spike so heavily. You've got to just be super wary about what it means to the stable because that usually affects their performance for mine. It's not a purist answer, it's not about ability. It's about the X factor that you can never really understand why, but you've definitely got to think about it, I believe. Millie Fox, nothing much there. Parramatta Cup, there will be nothing here. Coco Beware, the Birdman up to 350. Our Anchorage Airborne. Don Diego de Vega was just okay. Fujita Sand, my God, it's a camel. Kinesiology highlights, wow. Yeah, well, the market looks right-ish here. What did they put up? 450, they put up Birdman. I wouldn't be steaming into anything there. Parramatta Cup, Silver Slipper, Woden. But someone was just saying that there's a chance this horse is out. So obviously it's not if it's still in the market here. This is going to be a great race. We'll learn a lot more. North England, West of Swindon, Woden. I'm not a huge Belle Merci fan. I think she's got a few rats in her head, which are going to bring her undone at the highest level. But North England and West of Swindon, certainly North England got good speed to be up there, and West of Swindon looks like it's going to be strong. So those two horses will be a good test for Woden to see how good it is. $6 into 450 old North England. Do you think it should be shorter or longer? I think it should be. I think it's going to get full control of the race and run extremely well. I haven't asked how it's going or anything yet, but it'll be fairly wound up. Yeah, I tend to agree that it's the horse they've all got to beat. It's smelly old Woden, and McAvoy's going to be riding it. Love him or hate him, he's definitely not James McDonald. Thank you, Simon Asco. Is there anything standing out here we've been waiting for? Task choice, Trish at the moment. Sudan Lizzie, my God. Nothing. Autumn Classic. Nothing. Mannerism Stakes. So these are the same horses. Crimson and Bell Bomb Fresh. Nothing. And Zeditive Stakes. Like these are the same horses in the Zeditive Stakes that are basically favourites or in $10 chances or better in the bloody Oakley Plate. Tropicus went like a bastard the other day. Polyglots and Camel Daggers is interesting. Espionage. I need to find out how this horse is going. Espionage. Anything else to talk about before I run away? Hessian Track said the wind played a big factor in the Lightning caused Glowing Empire to run like a drunken. Wind do that to a big thoroughbred. It does. Wind does have an effect. Whether I don't think it affected that horse. That horse has always been a little bit wayward, but down the straight, yeah, like it's not to say that it didn't happen, and it was a pretty crazy weather day, but yeah, I don't think he would have lost as much confidence to lose as much ground as he did purely based on the wind, and most of the horse seemed to travel pretty well. Was Good Sort not in on Saturday? Yep. Was it not on Saturday or something? Was it scratched? I'm not a huge believer in this horse. So what's piqued my interest mainly is that Scintilla is absolutely flying. I wish it drew low, Scintilla. But at least now that it's fit, they're bouncing it out. Holy crap, it's the worst race I've ever seen in my life. Flying Thinker, Zoe roll forward. If Scintilla lands like bang straight outside them, Angel Down's not fast. It's going to 1400. Where's Good Sort? Good Sort 5, Zach Lloyd.
It's heat 18.
I did watch this trial the other day. I just want to sort of remind. That's not a good thing. I don't like horses that miss the start. It usually means, like, I know it's got barrier blankets and stuff, but usually means they've got issues. They've got other things on their mind. I don't really like it. And I think because trial speed and whatever, it's often underplayed because they can keep up and whatever. If that was a race, the race is nearly often gone and the horse is in an ordinary spot. Obviously, going to trial well. It's a talented horse. It looks like it trials as well as Amelita-ish. That's Lazura back there. So it's obviously got ability. What's the betting? $380 Good Sort, $380 Scintilla. So that's not as if they're short. Wings of Desire is a good horse, but it's got the Equicast off Gate 1. That's the thing that Barry was riding, right? 1400 first up with Reggie aboard.
And Warwick now. Well done, Buller.
I like this horse.
Rolling time is now Pinky 1 is just about level. Wings of Desire running on well. It's etched in time. Yankee 1. Wings of Desire the outside.
It trial well and it looks well. It looks like it's come back big and strong. Brigidine Gal's a good horse too. But, oh, look at that. I wonder if Reggie got the choice. I'm with you. I think Scintilla's the horse to beat. I think he might get a better price. I think you might get a better price. The mug punter. He's a lunatic. A great man. Yeah, but it's not really a Saturday. It's nearly a Saturday race, isn't it? That's the problem. But I think you found the right horse. It's just, yeah, if it just needs that little bit of luck early to land sort of 4th, 5th, then it's clearly the horse to beat. But Wings of Desire is very dangerous for mine. And obviously Good Sort's dangerous too. It's not a gimme race, but yeah, I think sort of 3 to 1, I think it's a good price. At 460, there you go. Yep. No, Angel Down's a camel. It's a camel. It could get in the way. And 1400 is much better for it than 1100, but I think it's a 3-humper. All right, shorty show. Shorty show, but good to be back and chatting. I might do the Thursday thing again. See how we go. Thanks for coming along. Good to get back into the swing of it. Good to have some good horses to talk about, right? Glasses for my sore eyes. Thirsty Thursday will be there. I'll call it that. Thirsty Thursday. I'm writing that down. Thirsty Thursday. Cheers, guys. Have a good night. What are you prepared to lose today? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.